Donncha. Oh, I
There
like
he
the
is.
T-shirt. It's a big
Yes.
weekend.
Big weekend. Cork versus the universe, man. Cork versus Dublin. Couldn't get bigger.
I love the fact that you don't even know what a hurl looks like, and now you're all about Cork now. They're in the semi-final of the hurling.
Yeah. But do you know what? I've never actually seen a place so captivated by something. Like, genuinely, from like Jake, Robin, my boys, my girls, because the Ireland match, the Georgian game, is on 6 o'clock, same time as in around as the hurling. And they were like, "Oh, Dad, you're going to have to watch the rugby on your iPad." You know what I mean? Like, you're not getting the telly, man.
Isn't that unreal? Do you mean like
Yeah.
coming from a rugby household, but something about GA, and sure there's a lot of listeners to the podcast here who aren't from Ireland, who don't quite get it. It's an amateur sport, but the community spirit when your
That's
county is in a final. I actually took Alan Wynne-Jones,
Yeah.
the Welsh captain, to the All-Ireland final last year. So lucky I was to get tickets for it. He was blown away. Couldn't get over the colours of just two counties, Cork and Clare. And he's like, and this is amateur. Like, these players don't get paid. Or like, it is amazing, special.
I told you this before, but I remember watching the All-Ireland final in Worcester because we were pre-season training. And I remember the lads were like, "This is phenomenal, this game," because it was on Sky at the time. And the athletes and the skill level and the pace of the game. And they were like, "What would your standard contract be there?" And I'm there. These lads are amateur. The boys and girls that play this game give it all for where they're from. Bananas, man. It's
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Well, best of luck to them all this weekend as well. I do have to say, Monaghan were in the quarterfinals last week. Lost out to Donegal, unfortunately, but very proud of it, my boys. Right. Before we get in talking rugby, there is a lot of rugby to discuss with the Lions and international matches, even review of the Reds. We'll give a quick talk with that. We've also got a clip of Matt Giteau talking about the Waratahs. We caught up with him. His interview is going to go out on the locker room, dressing room, changing room on Tuesday. You can hear the rest of that on Tuesday. But I do, listen, for people who are following you online, we're going to have to go back and recap on this train story. What?
Do we? Genuinely? Because I think
Am I going to have to tee this up here now? You've boxed it, right?
I've kind of put it in a box in my head because it was the only way I could kind of get through my stupidity.
You were in Dublin. You were getting the train back to Cork, and you ended up in Westport.
Yeah, in short, that's exactly what happened. Now, can I give a little bit of context to the whole thing? So I had to do an event in Dublin on Saturday morning. All went really well. Was rushing for the train. Actually, two people were really sound to me. And made sure I made it on time, and I was nicely set. So I didn't want to be rude. I flicked on the Lions match on my phone. So I was watching the Lions game on my phone and had my headphones in. Looked at the notice board and it basically said Cork train on 4. So I went into kind of 4, and I think in Euston it's like 4A and 4 and 4A. Stupidly anyway, I got on the wrong one, man. And it's 100% my fault. I wasn't paying attention. But just to give a bit of context, the conductor on the train, is that what they're called, the conductor?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so he came down at one point, and I'm watching the Lions match, and he gives me a tip to kind of have a chat, and ignorant me, man. Listen to this, how ignorant I was. I give him an old, "Hey, yeah, we're all good, yeah, how are we getting on?" And kind of pointing to the phone like real busy, you know what I mean?
Did your ticket not say Cork on it?
Yeah, did, but I kind of flashed it and...
Did he not look at it?
No, everyone was going through at that point. Like, it was in the mix of that point, you know what I mean?
Does no one check your ticket on the way to Westport? Geez, I might get on to Westport now himself.
If you're willing to go to Westport, they'll leave you. That's what we found out. So basically, it wasn't until I got to Ballyhonus that I realised I had gone the direction. I took my head up out of the phone, right? And I was there. Have we gone past the Curragh? Because on the Cork train, the Curragh, for some reason, it all clears away and it feels like you take off Dublin. You know what I mean? You can park and leave Dublin. The air gets better. Everything as soon as you hit the Curragh. Yeah. You know that kind of, Dublin's gone. It's no Kildare. Yes, we're on the way home. And I was there, geez, we're motoring here. I don't remember going through the Curragh. So basically, I rang Jenny. So I was meant to be picking up. Robin was doing something with her soccer team at kind of like 4 or 5 o'clock. I was meant to be back in Cork for 3 o'clock, 3:30. That was when the train would have got me in. And she had this kind of soccer awards. As soon as we hit, and I realised, I went up to I was there, I'm after making an awful fuck up here. And he was there, listen, I tried to tip you off, but you were busy. And in other
told
words,
me
like,
to do one.
you were an ignorant. He couldn't have been sounder, right? He was there, you're going to look up, can I get rent a car, all that stuff. The best thing you could do now is return the way you came. He's there, you gotta, I know, he said, you gotta change at one point, get the bus over. You're going to get the 9 o'clock train from Dublin, but that will be the best way for you to travel. And then, Tommy,
go on.
Listen to this for soundness, man. He got me a sandwich from the Tesco across the road.
The Tesco?
Yeah.
What?
He jumped over and got me a sandwich, man. Just, he was there like, I'm feeling for you. You know what I mean? Like, that was an awful...
Did your face have, were you, what was your realization when you worked out, like, so Westport is 216 kilometers from Dublin.
Yeah.
Cork is 248.
Yeah.
So what was the realization there when you're on the train to Westport, almost there, and you think, I'm going to have to go all the way back to Dublin.
All the way back.
So what time were you expected to be home? Home for 3?
Home for 3:30. And in the end, I got home at 12 o'clock at night, just before 12. And not only that, you've nailed it. It was like, our house is busy with activities. So I knew, like, I was throwing all the workload onto Jenny. Like, so ringing her. Now, to be fair, Jenny and Sophie told me that, Sophie told me she could see Jenny laughing, and like she had to bite her gums. She wanted to burst out laughing. But I wasn't in that spot yet. Do you know what happened to me? Do you know what instantly happened? I'm not joking. I got a cold sore. I got a cold sore.
So that's why you missed it?
Yeah, no. As soon as I knew the stress, and honestly, I don't think I have grey hairs. I saw 2 of them straight away when I went to the Jacks on the train. It aged me, man, no end. But do you know what? So then I was there, like, I saw the fun in it. You know what I mean? The way you eventually would. I came around, I was like, you turkey, like, you know what I mean? And I started to have the so then I was there, I might as well slag myself. I put it up on kind of on Instagram. The amount of people that offered me, one, you call around for a bit of grub, come out, join us for a pint, stay in Westport, man, you're going to have the best night of your life, we'll make sure of it. The amount of people were there. A buddy of mine is going as far as here, he can drop you down there, all this kind of stuff. People were being so genuinely sound, man. I couldn't believe it.
Well, that is nice. I mean, it's a bit reassuring. I have to say, I was hooked to your Instagram stories. They were brilliant. The music you had all by myself. Well done. Well done. But I can't believe it took you to 12:30 to get home.
12:30.
Oh,
I tried to make the best out of it, Tommy. I did. I managed to watch that Lions game twice. So if you want to ask me anything about it, I'm all over it.
God
I also watched the Babas game against South Africa, which, God, that was disappointing as well. I know it was Keane and Pete's last game. And then I watched the top 14 final. What a game of rugby. What a celebration.
Extra time.
Oh, it was amazing rugby. It was amazing rugby. Do you know what? Don't get caught up in the nonsense of just, isn't it Premier have the top 14?
Yeah.
Just get that and start getting behind one of the teams, because it is by a mile an incredible league. It really is great watching.
Class. I love that. Well done.
Yeah.
Fair play to you for getting home. I mean, he's not wearing the Disaster Dad t-shirt today, but I mean, if ever I thought there was a promo for Disaster Dad, the book, that is going to be on shelves very soon, there you have it right there. I have to do quickly. So there, you're meant to collect Robin or be there for her football. You were on a chat there during the week as well, and all of a sudden you just disappeared out of nowhere as well. We're like, is he gone? Where is he gone? What?
I had to collect Jake from the rugby camp up in Con, and I forgot it was 1:30 finished, and I was still chatting to you, having a crack, and I was there like, but I know I can tell you stories like this because that's something that could happen to you as well. You know that way.
Listen, I have been there so many times. Yeah. We've all been there. We've all been there. Most
Do you
of the
know
people
what though?
To
be fair, I must say people were so sound. Instructors were so sound. a complete mess up on my part. You know what I mean? But it's all right. You know what I mean? Like, it's all right to make a clown of yourself every now and again.
You have a very understanding wife. Fair
Yeah,
play
Jenny
to
is a
Jenny.
saint, to be
But
fair.
lovely.
But you know what? They were telling me it happens so many people. And then the line was, but they would be aged a little bit older than yourself.
There's a great clip of my brother. He was on the tube in London years ago. He was a student, and he was obviously out for a few pints, whatever, fell asleep on the tube, and all his mates all got off at their house. And where the tube is, the next one is like an hour out of London. It goes for ages without stopping. And he's asleep on the train, and they all get out and they film him. And then as soon as the doors close, they're knocking on the window, and you see him waking up, and he gets the realization he doesn't know where he is, and he's like, oh, and he tries to get up to the door, and all of a sudden the train just rolls off. And he was 3 hours getting home. It's a great video.
Brilliant. It won't be my first or last time.
No. Right, we've got the Lions to talk about. Owen Farrell has been called into the Lions as well. Interesting. We'll get your thoughts on that. I want to get another one quickly, just something we discussed in Ireland this morning. I'm going out to Australia for the first and second test. Can't wait. There was a snake found on a plane in Australia.
No way.
This week. Imagine an Irish. Imagine the Lions. Yeah, snakes on the plane without Samuel L. Jackson.
Wow.
Imagine being like a bunch of Lions supporters, and all of a sudden someone's what's that? A snake was on a plane. How mental is that place? It started a conversation about things that people have lost and left on planes before. What's your thoughts on this? Because this became a bit of a debate. Is it acceptable to take your shoes off on the plane? And is it even less acceptable? Because we had a texter who says, anytime I get on the plane, shoes off, socks off.
Oh,
that's how I relax.
Yeah, socks is too far. Or sorry, taking the socks off, I feel, is a little bit too far. If you know how we used to travel, we would have to wear those either skins or those compression
travel socks.
Yeah. So we would always have those on, but I always found it gross if lads went to the Jacks in the compression socks. You have to put back on your tackies there, don't you?
But I would always see the lads that have the compression socks on the calves, but they wouldn't go over their feet because they wouldn't fit right. They'd cut off the bottom, or they'd have their skins. So the lads would be walking around in their bare feet.
Jammy toes out.
And then your socks, like, where do your socks go? Do you put your socks into the chute? Do they go up into the luggage or into the holder where you put your bags? Or do you put them underneath? The smell. Anyway, that's a no-no for you.
The no-no, and especially is, even just with socks, it's worse with even bare feet. And then placing them, using the armrests of someone else's chair as your kind of like footrest, with your big furry toes sticking out the top of it. Like, to be fair, you are sharing the plane. I think that's completely offside. I'd rather be on a plane with a snake than a fellow with a jammy toe. And genuinely, I know some people are into different things, but I think feet are hanging.
Oh, they are hanging. Do you know? And I'm sorry to hang him out on this. Have you ever seen Zeebs' feet?
Zeebs' feet are horrendous.
Oh my God!
Yeah, they are. They're shocking. They really are.
There used to be a forfeit when we were on camp in Ireland tour or whatever else, that if you pulled a card, one of them was you had to give Zeebs a foot massage.
Brilliant. Brilliant. I love some of those, like that. Some of them are get a tattoo. You can pay the fine instead, but you'd be there. I'd rather rub Zeeb's feet.
No, I'd rather take the tattoo than go near those manky feet. Sorry, Zeebs.
But all feet. Yeah, we have to get Zeebs on and him to show us his feet.
Oh no, we don't need to lose viewers. The another one, give Mike Ross a back massage, the big hairy back on him as well.
Yeah. So just to give a bit of context, we used to do fines, and everyone was given a claim card, and you would have to put a forfeit that you were willing to do on it. So that was, it kind of kept them some bit balanced. And then we'd roll a dice, and if you got number 4, you'd have to go to the deck of death and pull out one of these cards with all the different forfeits. And it could be from as silly of paint your face, or, you know what I mean, have dinner for 2 with one of the coaches. to all
Mine
the
was you
extras.
had to get a tent and camp out outside the team hotel.
Amazing.
Thought there you could do that, yeah. But if somebody pulled that and they weren't willing to do it, they had to pay a fine. So the person who wrote the forfeit had to do it. So the good old days,
good old days,
listen,
good fun.
and we saw that with Zebo having rigged Rob Penny years ago as well, the Lions tour. So I'd imagine they're having that sort of crack with the Lions now too as well.
Yeah, you'd hope so. And then bringing in someone like Owen Farrell, he'll certainly pick up a flying for arriving late on tour. And you could see all the kind of slags that you could have with dad and son, couldn't you? You know what I mean? Daddy'd stay out and.
Like that's giving yourself a rope to hang your, like, like a terrible saying that is, but like that, the two of them, that's guaranteed slagging right there.
Yeah, great. And you need it because do you know what? The novelty wears off at this part of the tour. And like, I know everyone has this perception of Australia and it is a beautiful place, but we're touring at a difficult time in the year. It's cold out there, starting to get wet. You know what I mean? It is into their kind of winter a little bit. You do need to have crack away from it.
And you do start to see people leave the tour, and that's the tough part. Like you have obviously Thomas Williams, the scrum half, and now Elliot Daly, two lads who are big parts of the tour, big players who are big losses for the Lions as well. For Andy Farrell to lose those guys.
We don't know what happened to him, but it looked like a wrist problem, didn't it?
Broken arm, I think, yeah.
Is that what it is?
I think so.
You've done that, didn't you, on the tour?
Well, I actually did that in that Reds game back in 2013 as well.
I'll tell you what
happened. Yeah, it was in the Reds. So it was the second game in Australia. So literally the same as this. Played against Perth in the first match. Second game was playing against the Reds. And my girlfriend, now wife, Lucy, arrived out with mum, my dad, brother and sister. Everyone landed out for this.
The greatest hero of all time.
The big pothole Paul Bowe. All landed out. Literally, they landed that morning, went and played the Reds in the Suncorp Stadium, class place. And whatever, I think I was in a tackle, which is not rare, which is quite rare for me. Someone landed my hand and I felt a crack and I was like, geez, that doesn't feel right. I thought it was dislocated. So you're playing on and they're trying to pull on my finger to try and put the finger back into place. It just didn't feel right. And then I remember James Robson, the team doctor, came out and he saw it and he kind of felt around and I just saw it in his face. You just know that this is not good news on his face. And then he just looked to the side and gave the whole substitution. So of course I went off and went to Éanna Falvey, the doc, of course, legend. And I said, Falv, what's going on here? And he says, man, if that's a break, I'm afraid you're going to be going home. So family's just arrived. Your tour looks like it's over, man. I was so gutted, and there's pictures of me absolutely heartbroken after the match with my hand all wrapped up. But anyway, what happened is, right after the game, the Falv kind of said to me, listen, it looks like it's a break. Your options are you either have surgery here in Australia and then you fly home, or you fly home, we bandage it up, and you have your surgery back in Ireland. So I said, well, listen, I might as well just have the surgery here. It means I can stay with the family for a few days and then go back. So they contacted a surgeon. He went and got an x-ray of it. He said, listen, if that guy can put up with a bit of pain, he's got a spiral fracture down the middle of the bone. So the bone is just split in two. If he can put up with a bit of pain, I can bolt that together and I'll have him back on the pitch in 3 weeks.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they came to me, said, would you be up for it? I said, absolutely. If this means so I can get myself back fit and available for the second test. And they went to Gats and Gats said, yeah, listen, we'll keep him on tour. And,
of course he did. Oh, my son.
So literally that was a Saturday night. Sunday morning I was in for surgery, in with this amazing doctor. I need to look up his name, and I owe him a bottle of wine, a couple of bottles of wine, and 3 screws into my hand, 3 screws in there, bolted the bone back together again. I was back training within 2 weeks and played in the second and third test, and we won the series.
Sorry,
there you go.
What did you have on your hand?
So I had one of those the hurling gloves.
You had a hurling glove?
Yeah, so I had to get the hurling glove, and there was all this talk about...
Of course, Éanna Falvey made a call, got it in from Clyde.
Yeah, so I had to get the hurling glove in. This became a big noise then in English news or whatever else, that this glove and hurling and whatever else. But it actually so I got picked to play in the second test, and there was all this talk because there's actually a metal plate in the hurling glove to kind of protect them.
Yeah.
And they felt that there'd be a chance that the referee might not let me play with it because you're not allowed to play with a metal plate, obviously.
Yeah.
So
flooring fellas.
not that I would have been not really doing much.
Tommy is there with just a wrecking ball of a fist.
So ended up they just put like padding on it and wrapped it up. So I ended up not playing in the micro glove. But listen, I owe so much to that surgeon, to Falve and to Gats for keeping me on that tour, because to go sent home like Elliot Daly and Thomas Williams, like that is just heartbreaking your tour to finish so early.
It is. It's real tough, and it's great to hear the kind of good side of it there, that it worked out for you, Tommy. But also as well, to be fair, you would have been in a lot of pain there, and like that's what you do to play on a tour sometimes. You know what I mean? Like people that always have the perception that you're playing perfect, you're not. Like these guys are empty. They're at the end of their season. Their bodies are in bits, and they're finding a way to get over the line. And I think that's a really good example of what you'll do.
Within literally a week and a half to 2 weeks after having 3 screws put into it to bolt the bones back together, they said actually the hardest part was to make sure that the scar healed enough. Wow. So I had this like bone healer went everywhere. The only issue with it I felt, and I look back on it, that I didn't get to enjoy the tour as much because there were
you fucking blamed the test, man.
I know, but there were socials, the camaraderie. I always felt I was on the periphery.
Typical Tommy. You know what I mean? I played on the test, but I missed out on the crack on the Wednesdays.
I did.
You were there with your hand in the nice book while everyone else was having the time of their lives.
I had to be professional and I didn't want to be.
Yeah. Do you know what I do though? Think everyone has, the perception on the Lions tour that it's the elite on the pitch, but it's elite off it, isn't it? Like you mentioned, the docks, the setup, the surrounding you there, like 100% your welfare first, but also they won't stop. You know what I mean? The easy decision there was to say, okay, just send Tommy home, but they were like, we know this is dream stuff. How is there another twist in this? Is there any way? And you just always felt that, didn't you? With James, with Falve, with all the brilliant Gary O'Driscoll, all these people we've been surrounded with. Medicals
it was
always had our back.
Paskey, Prav, Bob, all the physios. Like, listen, whenever you're dealing with this, it's not just the best players on the pitch, it's the best players and people behind the scenes as well. So that's why the players love it so much. And listen, I was lucky enough that they felt that they could get me back in time for the tests. Obviously with Thomas Williams and Elliot Daly, they obviously didn't feel that they were going to be back fit enough. Even with Thomas Williams with a hamstring, maybe they just felt with Gibson Park maybe not playing enough rugby, they don't want to bring out too many extra players in the squad. So listen, what have you made of it so far? What the Reds game? I don't know. They're putting up big scores, and I think due to the second half, they're not starting very well, though.
No, they're not. But I do think opposition are coming out flying as well, and there's a little bit of smarts by the Lions in terms of high ball and play time. I know the execution isn't as well as we'd like it, but they're playing it at international level. And I think what we're seeing is the likes of the Force and now the Reds, just when it comes to kind of maybe 50 minutes in, they're gassed. And then, you know what I mean, with being able to have such an incredible bench as well. But I must say I'm positive. I like the way we're playing. I don't know, have we hit on combinations yet? But we're definitely playing a brand and a type of rugby that I enjoy watching. Like Tommy, you'll slag me. I wouldn't be great at playing that type. You know what I mean? I like a set piece battle. But for our game, I want to see that type of rugby being played every day of the week. The ambition to go, to play, to have a skill set, to offload, everything to be an option. I wonder, do we need to probably, I'd agree with you, get out a little bit quicker. I would love us. I think we're sitting back a little bit and kind of going, this is a massive day for the Reds. And I'll never forget that, one of the Tuesday matches for us, someone was there, I'm sick of hearing about all these teams, it being the biggest day for them. Fuck that. You know what I mean? I'm in a Lions shirt today. Let's bang, let's go out. And I remember the line was, we only have 80 minutes in it. I was nearly reversing it to think, that's it. You only have 80 minutes, man. You know, that
Well, it's getting
it's
to that
fleeting.
stage that these players are only going to maybe, might only get one more game before going into the test matches.
Yeah,
So, they're running out of minutes to get to put their hands up. I think the defense sometimes with how dangerous Australia can be, there's a few moments don't look like they could have the cohesion there.
yeah.
Lots of positives, lots to work on, but and it's interesting if for people who are listening now, if you didn't get to listen to the Les Kiss interview that we had on Tuesday, talking to him on the locker dressing room, you do listen. We'd love you to subscribe. We've got Matt Giteau coming up this week, next week, and we've got lots more amazing interviews over the next while as well. So we would love you to join us in the dressing room and give us your feedback on that too. But just to hear Les talking about what he was trying to do and what an opportunity it is for them. So
And it was really interesting in the dressing room with Les, also for the invitational side,
yeah,
which is coming around the track, and the different approach to what he had with the Reds. Because for me, I thought actually the Reds nearly overplayed Tommy.
yeah.
Like, I don't think there's any. It's not in their DNA to kind of kick as well. But I just think against the Lions that time, just getting it down the pitch is never any harm. So. Yeah, overall though, I'm positive about the position we're in. I think we're progressing. Every week we're getting better, and that isn't a bad way to be. We're miles off probably where we need to be test match wise, but
Yeah.
we're on the right track.
And listen, Australia will be the same. Looking forward to their match against Fiji this weekend as well. Obviously, the Waratahs match is tomorrow. We caught up with Matt Giteau ahead of our full-length interview with him next Tuesday. Let's take a listen at what he had to say about the Lions against Waratahs. And here, what way do you see it? The Lions against the Waratahs is on tomorrow. Do you think the Waratahs can give the Lions a game?
I don't know. Looking at the squad, it looks pretty young. And looking at what the Lions have been able to do to the Force and the Reds, especially the Reds, they had a pretty solid lineup. The way they put them away in that second half, I don't know. I'm hopeful that they can put up a decent fight, but yeah, that second half that could get dangerous.
Matt, who will Joe be keeping an eye on in that game, or do you think his focus solely is on, if you're not in the Fiji squad this weekend, you haven't got much of a chance of making test one, or do you think someone can push from this weekend?
No, I reckon the Tongan Thor, Taniela
Yeah.
Tupou, like he, by his own admission, he had a pretty poor Super Rugby, but he's a phenomenal talent. Like, he's powerful, he's raw. If he's able to turn up scrum time and show some real dominance there, I think that'll go a long way in his case.
The Tongan Thor, what a name.
Yeah.
Here, what are you hearing from the Aussie players about Joe Schmidt? Have you heard much rumours, like what they say he's like behind the scenes?
Behind the scenes, lovely. But on the field, strict. He's a dictator. Like, attention to detail. Yeah, he's mate, one of the nicest fellas, but apparently an absolute cranky bastard once he gets on.
Yeah, don't believe it. We know. Oh my
Yeah.
God. God help those poor Aussie players, but I tell you, it works.
Matt, do you think that Les will get the bunks? Because that's pretty much what happened in Ireland as well. Joe went in, set a standard, that attention to detail, and then Andy Farrell came in and kind of liberated the squad. And now you see Ireland kind of playing this type of rugby that's quite enjoyable to watch. Do you think that'll happen as well under Les?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, Joe, I think, will still be involved in some capacity, like helping him out. I think he's always a phone call away. They've got a great relationship. So I think Les will have his own plans, I'm sure. But I still reckon there's still that element of that time that they spent together. Like, he still has Joe almost in his head without having him in his head, at all times.
Nobody
He
can get
stays
Joe
there
out of their
forever.
head.
Yeah.
Joe never leaves.
Right, there you have it. We all know what Joe Schmidt is like behind the scenes. He's going to have those poor Australian players tormented.
100%. I like that nickname. What is it? The Tongan Tour, is it?
Yeah. Man, I'd be having him in my team if I was Joe.
I was thinking, what would your nickname be? You'd be the Monaghan Moaner. Here he comes, the Monaghan Moaner.
The Cork, what? The Cork crapper.
The Cork clown.
Cork clown, there you have it. Yeah, what do you think about the Waratahs? I am thinking that this team that is picked, I'm thinking he's kind of keeping the strongest team for Tuesday or for Wednesday.
Ooh, interesting.
I think you're starting to see, I don't
but
know,
you've a few combinations here, Tommy, that I think are definitely could make a bolt. If you look at the centres, the Scottish centres, that definitely could bed down and take an opportunity. Halfbacks, if they were to, you know what I mean?
Well, I think Gibson Park. I think Mitchell has played really well. I've actually been very impressed with him, and I thought Finn Smith coming off the bench was brilliant against the Reds. But again, as you said, Donncha, they'd already played a high tempo match that, at that stage the Reds had blown a gasket. So I do think in Farrell's mind he wants to give a second game to Gibson Park and Finn Russell together, unless Owen Farrell comes into the run. But I kind of think Mitchell and Smith, I don't know. The interesting one, I'm seeing Kinghorn and Keenan get their first runs out.
Give me some context there. Obviously you have to play two. They both need to play matches.
Yeah.
But could that combination work? Like James Lowe's going to come into it, if you ask me. But could you look at nearly having two fullbacks with what's coming up in the kicking game?
Yeah, I think that's going to be an area Joe Schmidt's going to attack the Lions, is in that contestable kicks. We've seen it. It's been an area the Lions have struggled with, where if you have Kinghorn on one wing, James Lowe on the other, and then Keenan at 15, it's a dangerous back line, but also very, very safe in the back three. So I would say that's a good one. I'm wondering about 13. Do you think Ringrose, I haven't seen much of him yet. I think Bundyaki, whenever he was just stuck to basics, took the ball up, I thought he was excellent. Can you go Gibson Park, Finn Russell, Bundyaki, Ringrose, James Lowe, all in the same backline? Is that a lot?
Yeah, well, he knows what he has in all those lads, doesn't he? But of course, the media would kick up a storm if that was probably the case with the Irish tint in it, but you could see it working. But I have a question for you. Like, if you look at the Irish centres, right, with Robbie Henshaw in there, who would you have said? Always Ireland worked with three, didn't they? It was always between Gary, Bundy, and Robbie.
Yeah. So and Stuart McCluskey.
Yeah.
The Ulster man.
No, but do you know where I'm going with it? I think Andy views centres like that in terms of right for now, if you know what I'm trying to say.
No, what do you mean?
I think we're all looking for a nailed down centre partnership. And
okay. Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be a little bit more fluid. I think I do think he's going to probably have a 5-3 with a centre on the bench to probably unleash. Or
yeah. And maybe like a Hugh Jones. I think that's why Elliot Daly is a big loss. Massive. He's a person you'd want on the bench, can easily play 13, can easily play 15, and the wing, of course, as well. Yeah. I think he's a big, big loss in that.
Yeah, he's a Swiss Army knife. But I know there's different views about Owen Farrell coming out, but I actually like it a lot. I actually think I think he could come into your 23 squad, test day squad, and elevate it.
To start or to be on the bench?
To be on the bench. I think you could kind of move people around to accommodate him, but he could, imagine him seeing out a game or putting him into, no, you're not having it. Whoa.
Donncha, my thing with him, listen, Owen Farrell played with him back 2013. What a player. But this season, he's been in Racing Metro, Racing 92. He's been on the bench. He's not started.
Tommy, man, you know
about it. But Lancaster's son has started 10. He hasn't played huge rugby.
No, I'm not having this off you. Man, you know better than I know. Class is permanent. He's a different animal.
Well, if he's that class, why has he not been playing?
No, but it just, honestly, why did Gatlin keep you on tour? Because he knows what he has, man. And sometimes people don't give context to that. He knew that you would go out and die on your shield, man, and that's what Farrell will do too. I see the kind of jump on, and I don't really understand it for kind of positional unless all I think of is utility. And to be fair, who I was thinking was the utility was Marcus Smith with the 10-15, but unfortunately I don't think he's made up enough ground, and he's not made that spot his own, unfortunately. Obviously, you know, you want everyone to be kind of going well, but I don't think he's had he hasn't shot the lights out. For me.
Yeah. So I'm looking at it here now. His Farrell's last 3 games, to be fair, he started 2 of 10 and 1 of 12. but I don't know. Yeah, I'm interested to see it. I kind of think about it in terms of even what we talked to Matt Giteau, for people who listen on Tuesday, him saying what Johnny Wilkinson did in terms of leadership.
Yeah.
And I think with Finn Smith, young lad, Finn Russell, loads of experience, and obviously Marcus Smith, maybe they just need that steady hand to come in and just be that leader. But I thought that's what Johnny Sexton is there for. I don't know. I'm very
brilliant. I love the way this is going to become an Irish problem. So Farrell's right to go. Just get rid of Sexton. Johnny's the problem.
I'm a bit puzzled by it. He's got 3 out halves.
No,
What's he a 4th out half for?
Do you know what? I actually think he's true to his word. Farrell all the time picks people. He picks fucking people every time of the week. And I know because of the family connection with this, but I'm telling you, he could walk out of the room and tell his coaches, pick the next best man to come into the squad, and it's Owen Farrell. You know what I mean? It is. So, and I just think everyone will get distracted with it, and it's going to become one of these massive talking points. But it's for me, it's not fair, because the fella he's permanently class. You know what I mean? Of course, we're going to look at the last few weeks, but look at overall, Tommy. You know.
Okay.
Can I just one quick point for me? Kinghorn and Hugo Keenan both playing, right? So one on the wing and one at 15. Hugo at 15.
Yeah.
You need to work as a back three there and help each other out. But they're fighting for a 15 spot, Tommy. Yeah. How do you manage that without derailing your own chances?
Well, because Kinghorn has only just arrived out, won the French Championship with Toulouse. He's been late to join the squad. Hugo Keenan was meant to start against the Reds, but got sick and had to pull out late. I feel that they need to give Hugo Keenan a run. I wouldn't be surprised if Kinghorn then starts at the weekend at 15 or gets another game at 15. It depends how Hugo Keenan goes.
Can I ask you a question, though?
Kinghorn could play on the wing. He's well able.
But just the dynamics of it. So that back three is working, right? Hugo Keenan's ball. If you're Kinghorn, do you kind of go, do you know what? It doesn't look half bad for me if I track across there. No.
They're both playing for a starting team. Doesn't matter. Listen, obviously Kinghorn will want to play 15, but he's well able to play wing. Yeah, if he thinks there's a genuine opportunity for him to start in the wing. Like, listen, you know yourself, it's about 9 and 10 playing together, going really well. The 2 second rows going really well together, trying to build those combinations.
Yeah.
If Hansen, Kinghorn and Keenan go well together, they're right in the mix.
Let's give a tip of the hat to Tadhg as well. Skipper, great on him. Good on him. Well done him.
Good on him as well. Sheehan, I thought, was really impressive last weekend. And Atoja, I thought, was excellent.
He was brilliant.
You said he needed a big game.
And he certainly delivered, to be fair. I just love, I know you're going to laugh at it, but you know what I mean? First line out, tapped on the ground, and he's killing that ball. You know what I mean? It's so easy to follow your leader when they win the non-talent moments, you know?
It's what we questioned in the game against Argentina.
He was brilliant.
Not winning the contestables.
Yeah, he was great.
What about this one, right? With Jack Morgan, man of the match.
Yeah.
Is he now in the running for 7 for the starting team?
He's thereabouts, though, isn't he? Like, I know this sounds awful, but I nearly feel the weight of history as well. He's the lone survivor, isn't he? He is
the only
Superman.
Welsh player.
The only Welsh player in it. And I think there's some crazy stat. It's over 100 years that there hasn't been a test start, or a Welsh test starter.
Really? Right.
In a Lions team. So the only thing is, though, I think that's the most ferocious area, because he's probably playing 7. I do think the breakdown is being reffed a little bit differently. I don't think they're contesting enough poaches as they probably need to. And that's why I think actually Van der Fleer this week, I've been massively impressed with his performances. You know what I mean?
Well, we know what you get for him, but they're not looking for poachers, are they? The referee's letting play go.
Well, that seems to be the way it's been reffed at the moment. Yeah, but that is such a disadvantage for us, I think, because we've so many good ones. You know.
Yeah. Well, that's it for the likes of Tadhg. So you have Pollock playing 6 this week, Van der Fleer 7, Ben Earl tomorrow against the Waratahs.
Yeah.
So it's just, I think actually you're right. The back row is so tight, and Jack Morgan is fronting up again. He's on the bench.
Well, Conan did himself no harm at all. He was fantastic.
Yeah, no, he was good. What do you think? And then, so the Lions, obviously, big game for that. There's also an awful lot of other rugby matches. The Irish under-20s are playing
Italy.
Italy 7:30 tonight as well. And then, let me just go through some of these
Yeah,
matches.
please go through it, because this weekend is worth kind of standing out, because you can get the Lions blinkers on, and I promise you there is incredible rugby. In fact, I was thinking of getting back on the train to Westport to be able to to take it all in.
Okay, so obviously you have Georgia against Ireland. That's going to be in Virgin Media. You can watch that. You have Wales against Japan. That's on S4C or BBC Wales. Then you have on the rest of these I think are on Sky Sports. The New Zealand Maori up against Scotland. New Zealand against France. Oh, that's going to be a hell of a game. South Africa against Italy. Argentina against England, another cracker of a match. USA against Belgium, there you have it. Yeah. And on Sunday, then Australia against Fiji. Some good games.
You mentioned Argentina, England, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's belter rugby, isn't it?
It's class. Yeah. And like Argentina, we'd be building on that win against the Lions. You're talking about the Japan-Wales, though, game being an important one.
It's massive. So, as we know, Welsh rugby on its knees at the moment, 17 losses in a row. They're heading to Japan, and they're playing in that kind of heat and humidity. You did it, Tommy. Really difficult. I was listening.
Oh, my God.
And reading about the Welsh players. By all accounts, in their last training session, they went through 500 kgs of ice in their ice baths. By all accounts, their training, they're actually just submerging into the ice baths. You know what I mean? Straight after it.
That's hell.
Yeah. But the thing is, where they are in the world rankings, so Wales at the moment at 12th, Japan at 13th. If they were to drop, if Wales were to lose, I think they might go down as far as even 14th, which would make them, for the World Cup seedings, would put them in as a kind of third choice in the group. So they will end up in a group with two powerhouses. And it just keeps going, isn't it? When things aren't going well, you know what I mean? It can just keep compounding and getting worse. Like, the last thing Wales need now is on the rise in a difficult World Cup to even, you know what I mean? You need some hope.
No, you need Welsh rugby to be one of the still the powerhouses, even despite the chaos that they're going through. And even, as you say, with Jack Morgan, with the only Welsh player in that squad, like, the memories we have of the Lions tours mostly revolve around the Welsh players. They're such big characters on these Lions squads. So,
and they're incredible supporters, to be fair. You know what I mean? You go to the hotel and they want photos, and they slagging you off about a penalty you gave away in Clonethley 6 years ago.
And they'd be saying absolutely deserved, because Mike Phillips was a prick, and they all agreed with us on that one. I want to mention as well, New Zealand-France is going to be an interesting one. I don't know if you saw the clip of Justin Marshall having a right go at this French squad that's gone down there. Obviously, the French league goes on for so long. It's such a big deal, the French squad. And it looks like they're resting their players. I'm actually just looking at the team here. It's a strong New Zealand team.
Yeah, it is.
Slimani, who of course is playing with Leinster, is starting tight head for France. Like, there's a lot of the players I actually don't know most of this French team. Le Garrick is playing at scrum half, obviously. He's going to be a hell of a player as well. But he wouldn't be really first or second choice scrum half for France normally. Segons is the 10. I don't know who the hell he plays for. Villiers on the wing. Fiku is playing 12. I mean, I don't really know many of the team. Wokey is on the bench. Cameron Wokey. Hastoy is on the bench, another La Rochelle player. But no doubt it's going to be a good team to take on the All Blacks. But if you want the New Zealand supporters to turn out and to support the All Blacks again, you want them to be playing against the best players. Is this a bit of a disrespect by France?
Yeah, it's a good question. Like, I think what the French do probably better than anyone is they're nearly selfish for prioritizing their league. And to be fair, like, they only finished up on Saturday night, Tommy, in one of the most incredible games of rugby that went to extra time. You know what I mean? Their league is non-stop. So, like, there is a battle with the player welfare side of it. When you go to New Zealand, not only should you bring your best, but you need to bring your best.
Yeah.
So if they're willing to go down there with an inexperienced team and having a learning curve, what we know about the All Blacks, man, is, you know what I mean? There is no more ruthless place. You will get it. And they won't stop.
But like, so Fabien Galthié has picked 8 debutants in the 23.
Yeah. But then
Like,
again, Tommy, it is a good place. You know what I mean? Just think of it from his position. If like that is the ultimate test, isn't it?
No, but right. So there's 5 first cap players in the starting lineup, right? I actually have a bit an issue with this because one thing that pisses teams off whenever you see European rugby or you see the
Yeah.
URC and you see Leinster sending their third strength team, you see the Sharks sending up an understrength team, you see the English, they're like, we don't care about it. We care more about our league than international rugby. International rugby should be the peak. These matches should be the peak for these players. And New Zealand, I feel, are disrespected by the
Yeah.
squad that France are sending. And I know, you had Bordeaux against Toulouse just the other day as well. But I mean, there's so many other players in that squad that could have been picked. So many other players that could be involved.
You look, the truth is, you're right. You know what I mean? And even across the board, if you want to, you know what I mean? If you want to, like, it's right for New Zealand, they're going to try to sell out those games. Even there's the perception that you're not respecting it, I think it's a disrespect for sure. And I think when you make that analogy to European Cup rugby, that is the most frustrating thing when you see teams sending these kind of understrength things. Of course, they might bring it, but everyone wants to see the best, don't they? And you deserve to see the best. And not only that, why are you hiding them? You know what I mean? Are the French nervous? You know, I know a perception about Dupont. Everyone goes on best 9 in the world, but how many times has he actually gone to the southern hemisphere and shown them that he is? You know, like how the only way you win respect is going down there and you know what I mean, earning it in their backyard. So yeah, I can see it. Like, I know we're looking at player welfare and different things like that, but you'd say one thing if they were involved in the line setup, if they were losing players, if that was one of the other teams like England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales. But the French have everyone to choose from. Yeah,
I mean, what happens?
Right.
Like the Lions, all of a sudden, players are like, "Nah, do you know what? I don't want to play for the Lions. Don't want to play for Ireland against Georgia this weekend because, player welfare." Like Justin Marshall says, in my mind, it's complete bullshit. He says the way that they're treating this tour, I'm not going to say that it's not going to be a contest, but he said it's farcical and disrespectful, and that New Zealand in the future should just not bother inviting them. Because there's no doubt whenever France will play against New Zealand in Paris, probably or Marseille, this November, they will want it to be a full house here so they can sell out the stadium. And for the New Zealand supporters, I think it's a bit of a disrespect. So fair play to Justin Marshall on that.
Good on him. Well done.
Boom. There you go. Right. Anyway, loads to look forward to. What do you think of the Irish team? What do you think of Paul O'Connell's team?
You have to be
Georgia?
happy. More Ulstermen than anything else, Tommy. I was there. No.
I mean, to be fair, you have probably 3 times the Munster coaches than you have on the actual team.
They're all picking your lads.
Well, they're picking the best players that's available to them.
Yeah, that's true. No doubt. I suppose the big one that everyone's always going to look at straight away is the 10 battle, isn't it? And Sam gets a nod over Jack. Look, you might think I've Munsterized, but I just personally feel that Jack finished the season really strong and deserved to be rewarded. But then again, I'm a Crowley fan, so you know what I mean. I see Sam is a great player, but what frustrates me is the lack of opportunity for Jack Crowley.
I think Jack Crowley was good towards the end of the season. I think that he didn't stand out as much as Craig Casey did. Like, if you want that 10 jersey, you got to play like you're on fire. And I thought Craig Casey, since coming back from his injury, has given Andy Farrell no other option, or Paul O'Connell no other option. I thought he was fantastic.
Yeah.
And
the other
Jack
one
Crowley,
like that.
But Jack Crowley has been good. Yeah, he's played well, but he hasn't been outstanding. And as an out half, you have an opportunity to win games. Like, you have the opportunity to win and lose these ones. And I thought he's been good, but not outstanding. And I think it's not going to be outstanding.
I know what you're saying.
Casey has.
You have to grab the jersey and rip it and make sure it's yours. And the ultimate example of that, I think, is Tommy O'Brien. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There's a guy that just basically said he put himself in the shirt. He gave them no choice with his performances, and he's been rewarded with it. So, yeah, it's an exciting team. It really is. I'm nervous though, Tommy. Like you look at the 20s versus Georgia, like Georgia, no mugs, you know what I mean?
No.
Scrum eyes, we're going to get it. This is a banana skin, you know? And like I was looking at all those fixtures you went through this weekend, and I'm there. If you're at home, you're in a great position for, you know, and Georgia, this is their World Cup, you know?
It is.
Like, I say what you want about Ireland missing players, they don't care. This is a scalp, and they're going for it.
And who better to have them to wind them up than Richard Cockrell as their coach?
Yeah,
they are going like for the likes of Thomas Clarkson, Gus McCarthy, Jack Boyle, like young enough, inexperienced enough front row there. Like they're gonna have their work cut out this weekend against that Georgian front row.
So what have we? I think it's 2 new caps in the starting lineup, and is there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the bench? Is that right?
Could be. I don't know if there's that many, but it's going. I'm just looking at the squad here. I think it's a big game for Gavin Coombs. Looking forward to seeing how he goes. I think Cormac Izachuku at second row is just a class act. He's going to be amazing. And again, from an Ulster point of view,
I like him at 6. I like him at 6.
I hear you.
But I just think
Ryan Baird's been outstanding. Another man who's ripped that jersey.
Yeah,
he's finished the season so well.
But do you know what this is? This is a great chance for them, because I know this sounds nuts, right? All of them will want to impress, but the most important thing is getting the result. You know what I mean? They have to win. So this is like they have to nearly play cup final rugby. You know what I mean? While trying to impress yourself. So it's
in Tbilisi. Did you ever play in Tbilisi?
No, I didn't. No,
me neither.
You?
No, me neither. No. I would say thankfully, but I'm sure it's a beautiful place. I'm sure the lads will enjoy it. I'd say there'd be a great crowd there as well. So listen, loads of amazing rugby to look forward to. Best of luck to Ireland. Best of luck to the Lions against the Waratahs. And make sure if you do check out the offloadpodcast.com, get involved, subscribe and listen to our chat with Matt Giteau on Tuesday, our Les Kiss last week. We've lots of great interviews coming away. It's £6 a month. You know, it's cost nothing, and it means we can put on the best show that we can going forward. So please do support us on the Offload podcast. All good?
Go well, Tommy. I have to get the train.
That £6 wouldn't even afford his bloody return home. Did you have to pay for the return?
Do you know what? They felt so sorry for me, man. They just left me off. They were like, if you're willing to stay on this train for the next, 12 hours, good on you.
A Tesco sandwich and a free train ticket, well deserved. Dunners, best of luck to you and Cork this weekend as well.
Go on, the Rebels. Come on, Tommy. See you in a moment.